Hello and welcome to the A2theK Wrestling Show. We are here with another This Week in Wrestling. And of course, it is my honour, my duty, my punishment every week to talk through the flagship WWE show, Monday Night Raw. And the card that we had in store, Anthony, it's a doozy. Firstly, kicking off the show, a coin toss to determine who Bobby Lashley would face tonight.
Yeah. Fucking bunch of tosses.
Bunch of fucking tosses. We had the WWE tag team titles on the line. AJ and Omos exist. They exist. Who knew it? First time seeing them since WrestleMania. They took on the New Day and they won. So they retained them titles. Anthony,
I don't think their tag team's going to last though, you know. You notice AJ was being a little short with them.
Hey.
Dad joke. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, Omos was telling some tall tales. I don't know. But Anthony, did you know?
He's talented, man. He's like head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, I haven't got any more. Sorry.
Okay.
So, did you know an evolution is upon us? That's right. After all this time, all this speculation, many, many months of us reporting on it, Eva Marie is back for some reason.
Oh, she was back. I knew it 6 years ago.
Yeah. So yeah, cool.
What
I guess.
Poor time to do that.
Yeah. We had Elias and Jackson Riker seeking tomatoey revenge, Anthony. They did. Didn't turn out well for them, though. But anyway. Charlotte took on Dana Brooke, with Charlotte picking up the win. Sonya Deville then goes on to grant Charlotte another favour. What? Sheamus beats up Humberto.
You mean Charlotte made a deal with the Deville?
Hey, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. John Morrison took on Damian Priest, with Damian Priest picking up the win. Raw unveils their latest signing, Mansoor.
And then squash.
Yeah. Cedric and Shelton took on the Lucha House Party, with Lucha House Party picking up the win, and Cedric and Shelton on some very thin ice.
Can you have a house party with just two people?
I don't know, I have to check the COVID rules. Angel Garza took on Drew Gulak and fornicated him with the Rose. I shit you not. He picked up the win also, so that's good to know.
I bet he was so happy he re-signed with WWE.
Yeah. RK Bro. That's right, RK Bro is a thing. Took on Elias and Jackson Riker because guess what? The way they got revenge with tomatoes was throwing them and it hit Randy Orton.
Elias and Jackson Riker featured twice on Raw.
Yeah.
That's how important they are right now.
2 segments. But yeah, RK Bro picked up the win. Our new favourite tag team, apparently. Sheamus then went on to face Mansoor, the new signing. And he got the win via disqualification when Humberto came down and attacked him.
Okay.
Alexa's Playground happened. It was playgroundy.
Okay. Sure.
The women's tag titles were on the line as Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax took on Naomi and Lana, and obviously they retained, because why wouldn't they? That's all they seem to do.
Yeah, well.
And the main event of the evening, the winner of the coin toss, that's right, the tosser of the night, Braun Strowman, took on Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley picked up the win. And that was the card. The highlights, not many. So, firstly...
Of course your first highlight's going to be this. Of course it is. Go on.
Fuck off, Anthony. I've got a thing for Drew, okay? I like him. He's a manly man from Scotland. It's just my cup of tea. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Drew McIntyre, I don't know, I just thought he was funny again. And, you know, he basically calls out Mace and T-Bar and calls T-Bar Teabag. And it's just like, well, we've been saying it. So it's about time someone said it. And so I popped for it. I thought it was funny. And yeah, I don't know. I just think he pretty much went very much into them. You know, like, why keep the shit names if you've been the shit masks? You know, that's basically what I took from it. I thought it was funny at the time, and so yeah, it's a highlight, damn it, because Drew can do some good things, even though it was probably scripted. You know, he can do some good things from a promo standpoint when it's less about getting his catchphrases in and getting these, you know, fucking Claymore countdown and shit like that.
Yeah, when it can just feel more organic.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think this did. So yeah, highlight Drew.
No, I joke because I know you're a Drew mark, but you know, it was good.
I'm a Drew McIntyre. That's all I'm saying. Next one. Do I still like RK Bro? I think I do. I don't know why, but I seem to. So
I
maybe
think
there's
it
something
might
wrong
be
with me.
like one of them guilty pleasure kind of things. But you don't want to admit you like him. You
No,
like him.
it still feels wrong, and I still think Randy Orton shouldn't be just doing what he's doing after he pretty much just killed a guy and had a very messy feud and stuff like that. But okay, that's who he is. That's fine. We'll accept it. And another one, Anthony, maybe surprising this week, but it is a highlight. Alexa's Playground. And this is very polarizing, really, because every week Alexa's fantastic. I think we can all agree that. But where she is in this storyline, where it's just all about her and this Lily character and all that shit, has been a bit awkward. But this week it felt a lot more intentful, I think.
You mean they might have a direction?
Oh no, they definitely don't. But it felt like they actually might. It felt like they might. So I don't know. We say every week how good she is, and she really, really is. And again, last week I said that it was more the fact that they just didn't seem to have any kind of end goal with it. But now she's made her intentions known. She even said her favorite, like Lily's favorite color, I think it was, is red. So that made me think, are they going after Eva Marie before she's even debuted? I don't know. But that's what was good about it, because I was like...
She's on the Raw brand. Don't be too deep with it, man.
That was it. Like, surely it was too on the nose. Like, they debut her and then they go, oh, Lily's favourite colour is red. It's like,
well,
why
they're
would
going to give you
that?
random facts and hope it ends up with something.
Yeah.
Lily likes ice cream. Like, hopefully we'll get somewhere with this, guys. Hopefully it'll lead
oh my
to
god. Next week, Nia Jax slips on ice cream. It's got to be Nia again.
Look, her face is red. This is it.
So yeah, I don't know. Like, have they got any end game? I don't really know. But this week it felt a little bit more.
Alexa's new gimmick is going to be the gimmick thief.
Maybe
she's going to end up like just moving to SmackDown and stealing Roman's whole thing. It's just
it's possible.
You're picturing that.
Yeah, I can see that. To be honest, I've got every face she'd pull it off because she's so fucking good. But yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm not a fan of Lily still. Obviously, I said last week the whole superimposing into pictures and stuff was pathetic. This week it felt like it was getting a bit more back on track. But
I'm still annoyed. It's like they brought the Fiend back just for 5 minutes to push Alexa, and now fuck it, we're done.
Like, where is he? Like,
fucking annoyed.
I don't know. I honestly don't get it. But whatever. She's still very good, and it feels like it might go somewhere. And I think it could be a much needed kind of shot in the arm for the women's division, which has been failing spectacularly for the last couple of weeks. So who knows? On to the Oshites. Swiftly moving on. Seriously, we're at a point in time where we determine the main event of a show via a coin toss.
I've often theorized that WWE do things on the toss of a coin, so this makes a lot of sense to me.
But Anthony, even though it's an Oshite, you know what? It's actually fine in comparison to when you consider that everything else on this fucking show wasn't booked. Because we had...
I fucking love it. It happens so much.
We had fucking Gulak and Garza. Okay, cool. That came out of nowhere. So, okay, we'll make a match. We had them fucking signing Mansoor on the show, and all of a sudden he's got a match with Sheamus. Cool. RK Bro and Elias and Riker was because they threw tomatoes at it. What was fucking booked for this? So really, I'm kicking off at a coin toss. But really, if that didn't happen,
honestly,
nothing
it's
like
they're running a daycare centre for wrestlers, and shit just happens.
It makes no sense. Again, yes, AEW fanboy, label me that. It's cool. I'll own it. But every week they announce, here's what's coming up on the fucking show this week.
I'm waiting to seriously think how WWE are making Raw look from a storyline point of view. That if you walk around backstage, right, you're going to see a girl on a swing playing with a doll, some kid riding around on a scooter, a couple of other kids throwing food at each other. It's just a fucking madhouse.
Right. Well, the next two Oshites here kind of lend themselves nicely to what you just said. Firstly, I'll talk about the fucking throwing food at each other. So, that wasn't bad enough the previous week. They then decide to do that angle again, only they try and get revenge, but this time, it was so poorly done as well. I know we spoke in the Ringside Report around, production values and stuff, but my fucking God, it was throw, 5-second pause, looking away. All of a sudden they go back, and then all of a sudden Randy Orton's there with a tomato on his head, and it's like, for fuck's sake. It's like, of course you managed to hit Randy Orton. Of course
Are
you
they
did.
like? Are they like sponsored by some sort of like food company? Like, are
Who
they
knows?
mentioning the brand of these tomatoes by chance? Because I just can't see why they keep this shit going.
Yeah, me neither. I don't believe so, but you could be right there. But yeah, so the fact again, it's with this whole something shit happens. We did like a tomato throw. Let's bring it back this week. Mandy Rose fell. Let's make a fucking storyline out of it. They're like, where are these stories coming from, and why do you continue to like proceed with them? It is baffling to me. But yeah, so that happened. That was pretty shit. But also, again, talking about how nothing seems to be booked for this show. How so Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce, we don't know what either of them do. They both wear suits and they talk a lot on the backstage.
And
It's all we
we
know
know
about
right
them,
now is Sonya
right?
has some sort of power and can undermine Adam quite easily. That's what we know
Yeah,
for sure.
pretty much. But he's very upset that she does that because he apparently has more power. But apparently she sends him texts, but he doesn't check his phone, or the signal's bad or something. And basically,
But he doesn't have enough power to negate her power, which is weird.
exactly. So, they've got all this power, not enough. So, but between them to actually book a fucking show where we don't book it on the night of, and then undermining each other, apparently leading towards some kind of power struggle of the power we don't really know that they have. And then what made it even worse was the amount of times they featured in this one show of oh, they're really building up a rift, and the amount of awkward 10 seconds worth of them just staring at each other before moving between segments. And it's like, okay, you can convey the fact that they're not happy with each other in about 3 seconds, but man, did it go on, and it felt awkward. And it's like,
But where are they going with it anyway? Are they going to have a match?
you think they know? They have no idea. There seems to be some kind of thing that's happening between Sonya and Charlotte where she's going to help her get back the title or something and be like a heel general manager / manager. I don't know.
Why
Right?
are they friends?
Honestly, I don't
Do they
know.
even know each other?
It doesn't make any sense, does it? But that's what seems to be happening. And honestly, who gives a fuck? And why did it take up so much of the show this week? Who knows? And finally, Cedric and Shelton break up, Anthony. Ugh, why? I mean,
Because we can't have anything good.
The hair business was so good. We all enjoyed it. They broke it up. Then they had them two as a tag team. Then they had them two infighting, and then why? They're not going to do anything with either of them anyway. This was the most
we've still
over.
got the New Day.
This was the most over and the most TV time either of them have had since they came into the show basically.
Off you go back to obscurity. Bye.
Yeah, so once this storyline's done, we aren't going to get okay, Shelton is going to be a main eventer now, or Cedric's going to break out. It's not going to happen. It's just going to be the fucking death of them. And it's for two guys who are so talented, who wants this really? I just think we've now got one less tag team in an already super scarce fucking division. So yeah, all in all, Anthony, the show itself terrible, but at the same time, I'm probably going to shock you. It was nowhere near as terrible as it has been the past couple of weeks. That being said, I'm going to give it a 1.5. I've given it 0.5 consistently. No, I'm giving me rating. I'm giving it 0.5.
I appreciate before I give my rating.
Okay.
You haven't mentioned Evolution. You haven't mentioned whether it's going to be a highlight or a no shite for you, and I'm intrigued to know what you make of her sort of return.
I don't get it, if I'm honest. I don't see how she's going to slot into anything going on. We've spoken about the women's evolution and how it kind of feels like it's just died a death. And they've released the likes of Mickie James and fucking Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, and they've brought in Eva Marie. And it's like, well, what is your focus at this point?
The goal to call it an evolution.
Yeah.
You cheeky bastards.
I know. Well, apparently, and I don't want to, talk too much about what happened, yesterday, because obviously we are a day late, but apparently they're now infringing on Bayley's gimmick as well. Calling her something, some kind of role model or something. So Bayley's not happy either.
Britt Baker did that though.
Well, that's true, but she was a role model. She had a wheelchair and everything. It was cool.
Well, apparently Baker infringed on Chris Jericho's. Do you really want to get petty about this shit?
Well, I mean, Jericho gave Britt Baker his gimmick in the first place. So it was Bailey never had, right to use it. So
Yeah.
anyway, for me, it gets a 1.5. It was still an awful show, better than it has been. I think the reason it got higher than a one is because the actual quality of the things that we did see was better than it has been to a point. And even like the main event was okay. There was stuff that went wrong there as well, and obviously distractions and all that kind of, that I won't get into. But all in all, it felt deserving of a 1.5. It certainly wasn't as bad as the previous weeks, but it was still not good.
I thought a lot about what you said, and I'm going to give it a 1 because I think there are elements there that you enjoyed more than I did, and that's not me trying to argue with you. It's just I wasn't as much of a Drew mark, and I honestly don't enjoy the Alexa stuff as much. I will admit Alexa's doing a stellar job of what she's got, but I'm not a big fan of it at the moment. So there's just elements that I liked that probably a little less, and I think because of that, it just deserves half a point down. So I'm going to go with a 1.
Well, fuck you.
Go fuck yourself.
That's fair. Okay, NXT, the Tuesday night terror.
Here's how you run through a card, Carl. Quickly. Just kidding. So, as far as the card goes, Carl, we have Leon Ruff going up against Isaiah Scott for the 700th time in a Falls Count Anywhere match with Isaiah Scott taking the win. We saw Cameron Grimes going up against an Asher Hale making his debut with Cameron Grimes taking the win. Of course he fucking did. We had Tommaso Ciampa and Tim Thatcher going up against the Grizzled Young Vets again with Thatcher and Ciampa taking the win. We saw a promo of sorts from Karrion Kross, which I will talk about more because I have some bitching to do. We saw Saray going up against Zayda Ramir with Saray taking the win. We saw LA Knight going up against Jake Atlas with LA Knight taking the win. We then, I don't even know if to call it a promo, but we essentially had a setup for next week where we'll see 2 matches, Kushida going up against Escobar and Mercedes Martinez going up against Raquel Gonzalez. So that was a nice little setup. We then closed the night out in a way with Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon taking on The Way, if you will, Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell in a in a street fight for the tag titles with Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell taking the win and the titles with them.
What?
That's how we closed the night off. So, Carl, highlights, right? Main event was good. Okay, so moving on to the old shites. No, I joke, of course. No, like it genuinely is my only highlight, but let's talk about it a little bit. I've been a little bit up and down. Like, firstly, the reason I call it a highlight is the match quality itself was really good. These 4 put on an absolutely fucking brilliant show. There's a street fight which you don't always get to see, so it was something a little bit different as well. I mean, yeah, we opened the night with a Falls Count Anywhere, and this is essentially the same thing but with a different name. But let's not dwell on that too much. But yeah, it was all in all, it was a really good match. The reason I was up and down on it, and I don't know how you feel, Carl, so I am intrigued, is I weren't too sure about the actual title change.
It felt soon, didn't it?
Yeah, it felt a little too soon. Like, I have not even got an issue with LeRae and Hartwell having the titles. I just feel like they changed hands a bit too quick, and I think that's if this like how long these titles have been around? What, couple of months, and they've now moved hands 3 times. Just feels a little too soon, too much. It's not the 24/7 title. Calm down. You know what I mean? But all in all, like, are these guys going to do a good job of being the champs? Yeah, probably. What worries me a little bit is, like, they also got this storyline bubbling with Indy Hartwell and Dexter Lumis. So you imagine that's probably going to end with her sort of, leaving the Gargano family and potentially even feuding with Candice LeRae. Like, it feel like that's the start of their dissension. So why have they got the titles if that's where you're going? Like, I now don't know what's happening with Lumis in a way.
It feels like that they've done this to add more gravitas to the whole Lumis thing, where Indy's going to be the reason why they lose them belts, and then that will set up a feud with Candice. But
what, are they really going to have to
did they need the belts
like this?
Yeah, I don't know. Shotzi and Ember.
You could have had this match and had the reason they lost this opportunity without them ever holding the belts. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah. I'm a little bit up and down on the decision to change the titles, but I can't argue with the fact that it was a really fucking good match, and all 4 of them deserve a lot of credit for that. So that was me highlight.
Agreed.
Okay, so I'm going to move on to the O'Shites, Carl. Now, I'm gonna backpedal a little bit from last week because I mentioned Ted DiBiase and I mentioned the fact that anytime you see DiBiase is a good time, right? We had some DiBiase again this week, right? In a way, Cameron
You
Grimes
can find him in
decided.
the club, apparently, with a bottle of bud.
Apparently. So the reason this goes into my shites this week is because, and it's not something I'm not even going to take credit for this. Like this is something that was pointed out to me on social media, not deliberately to me, but something I noticed in social media that was like, that's a really good fucking point. And I'd love to credit the person who made this point, but here we are. And that was the fact that like when you look at it, this is them going, we have nothing at all for Cameron Grimes. This can lead nowhere. He's not going to end up in a match with Ted DiBiase. Like he squashed some guy who we haven't really seen on NXT before, and then tried to celebrate and got DiBiase'd again. And we're probably gonna have a few more weeks where he gets DiBiase'd again, and then what's gonna happen? Like this pisses me off more now because I'm like, yeah, that's actually a really good point. This is just totally directionless, and they're actually gonna sour it because like, while I was like, hey, it's Ted DiBiase, that's gonna stop. Like I'm gonna get a few weeks in and be like, oh, it's Ted again.
There was
And
no
eventually
end
I'll be like,
goal with
Ted, do you
this.
not have a home? Go home, Ted.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Literally, they've gone, oh, okay, well, let's capitalize on this, hot topic of the minute with the fucking GameStop stock, and let's do all this kind of thing. And then it's like, okay, now we have nowhere for this to go. It's like, well, okay, he's rich, so do we know anyone else is rich? Well, $1 Million Man's rich. Brilliant. Let's put him in segments. There's no end goal. Like
no end goal at all.
Literally,
and,
like he's got nowhere to go from here.
Sold on it. Like I think we both agreed last week. It's great to see Ted. But I don't think you were as sold on it last week as I was, and I'm less sold on it this week. So I'm in your camp now.
To be fair, it was for that reason. It was like, okay, cool, it's a comedy gimmick, and it's great to see Ted. But what is the point of this? I thought Cameron oversells everything, like he did this week as well. But it was also like, okay, what is the point? Like, why should I care about this? I don't. That's the problem.
I hate to say it, and people may disagree. I think Cameron Grimes is doomed to never really go anywhere, especially in WWE. I can't ever see him holding the title. I can't ever see him being a main event guy or even a main roster guy. He just doesn't strike me as that kind of person. Not unless he massively changes up what he does.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, hey ho, he's funny, so there you go. Well, he's not actually, but people think he is. I'm told he's amusing, so I'll take the word on it. So my next one, Carl, and again, this is a topic I'd like to discuss with you, is the Karrion Kross. I'm going to call it a promo, where he's basically puts everyone on notice in a way, and then we have Pete Dunne and Kyle O'Reilly are like, we should have a title shot, and then he lays them out, and we also have Finn Balor putting his tuppence in, although he's not been around. He's like, I should be the one, even though he's just lost. So why? Do we do rematches? Are rematches a thing anymore? I don't know. And all that's well and good. You go, all right, Karrion's looking like a beast. He's laid everyone out. Who could challenge him? Like Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne would be a really fucking good one. Do that. But no. Let's then have randomly Gargano and Austin Theory lay out Karrion Kross and negate everything we've just done. Like this was hit in a way that it's like you've made. If you'd have just ended on Karrion Kross laying out O'Reilly and Pete Dunne, then it would have left him looking like a beast. Admittedly, I think they overbook him in that sense, and you go, well, realistically, who can take him on? You've booked him as unstoppable in a Brock Lesnar kind of way, so what's the end goal? Especially in NXT. But then to have like it end with Gargano standing tall, and it's like, are we putting Gargano in that picture? Like, isn't he like in the North American title scene? Aren't you currently building the feud between him and Bronson Reed? The fuck is this happening? What?
Didn't make any sense. And also, something I want to call out, which I can't see in your O'Shites, which proper pissed me off this week, was the fucking segment with William Regal and Scarlett Bordeaux and Austin Theory coming in and being like, those are so big, they can't be real. And it's are you fucking shitting me? And obviously he was talking about her fingernails, wasn't he? And it was so bad. And it was like, are we really doing this in 2021? Like, really? How are we here again? How are we here? Scarlett Bordeaux is someone who is fucking... She's so good at doing what she does. And she could have saved Karrion Kross from a fucking shit promo again this week because he shouldn't be the fucking mouthpiece for himself. He's
No.
got the size. He's got the fucking in-ring prowess. Cool. Scarlett Bordeaux is that fucking mysterious character that really makes him who he is.
She sells him being like mythic. He needs to be silent and let her do all the sort of the creepy build up.
Yeah.
Like, how effective is it when they've done it in the past where you don't hear or anything from Carrion, but she comes out with that what do you call it? Hourglass.
Yeah, exactly.
How effective
instead,
is that? No words.
Instead,
come out
Anthony,
with the hourglass TikTok. There you go.
what we get this week is a fake tit joke. Can you actually believe it? I was fucking fuming, to be honest. I was so pissed off.
Ridiculous.
Pathetic.
It is.
Pathetic.
No, it's a fair point. Should have been a no shite. I think maybe I overlooked it because I'm fairly certain we've moaned about this. So maybe I just had a lapse in like judgment.
I think I may have jumped the gun last week when we were talking about whiskey and wrestling because it pissed me off. But yeah.
But yeah. So you're totally right. It's a fucking stupid little segment to book that really. But yeah, all in all, I think this is the start of them booking Carrion wrong, which is a shame.
Yep.
My last one, and this again, a lot of people will disagree because for some reason people fucking love this match, but I'm actually kind of sick of seeing Isaiah Scott and Leon Ruff. I don't care. I haven't cared for a while. Why do we keep seeing matches with them?
Yeah, maybe the 87th match is going to be the sweet spot.
Don't get me wrong. Like the match itself, on a technical level, was really good, but it's like them two in a different type of match, like. Okay, like I don't know. I didn't care as much as some people. Like you read online, and a lot of people are like, oh, it was a really good match, one of their best. And it's like, yeah, you're saying one of their best. They've only ever fought each other.
Yeah,
like maybe some other people. I don't know. I'm obviously exaggerating, but yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't overly sold on that, so it's going to me. Oh shouts, fuck it, I don't care. So
I'll accept it.
Oh no. Because there was some good matches, but I think it was pretty weak sauce this week, so I'm going to give it a 2.
Interesting.
Gold dust.
I feel like oh, nipples are gone hard. No. So I think you're gonna probably I'm not sure how you're gonna feel about this. I am gonna give it the same as I gave Raw.
Okay.
So it's a 1.5 for me, and I think it's because in 2 hours they achieved the same level of interest for me than I got from 3 hours of Raw. So this isn't necessarily a massive slight on. It's still more of a slight on Raw than it is on NXT, but both shows were comparable.
One case for NXT. In their defense, that makes me think you should maybe consider it 2.
Go on.
NXT this week didn't involve a single tomato.
That is true. But it did involve a segment where they looked at a female's tomatoes and said, are they enhanced or not? And then joked about fingernails. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
For me...
Tit jokes have it, you're right.
Yeah, I just felt it was a bit like, didn't get it. So, 1.5, I'm going to give it.
Okay.
Not great.
I can live with that.
And also... As good as the main event was, I disagree with the tag title change as well, and Cameron Grimes thought it was awful. So
yeah, I'm very still up and down on the title change itself, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Sticking with the 2. Okay.
And speaking of seeing what happens, I bring you AEW Dynamite's Blood and Guts. It's not a pay-per-view, Anthony, despite you calling it, but it felt like one to a degree because it was a good quality card. Kicking off the show, we had Jon Moxley teaming with Eddie Kingston to take on Kenny Omega and Michael Nakazawa, maybe. Obviously, Moxley and Kingston won that because shenanigans and Omega not showing up for most of it. So, yeah, that happened. Nice. We then had Cody taking on QT Marshall, the Nightmare Family taking on, the Factory, I think they're called.
The Applejacks. I don't know.
Yeah, why not? And Cody won, which was... I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll talk about that.
Hang on.
Then we got...
His head cut open?
Of course he did. Just to basically, eradicate all the whole spectacle of blood and guts and all the blood. Cody, goes into it for himself. I kid, of course. He has some weird little skin tag thing on his eye that always just like bleeds for some reason. So yeah, accidental, but still, he did bleed.
Bloody guts.
We had Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky interrupting. Oh no, they had a promo. They were interrupted by Darby Allin, and Darby Allin paid the price. I'm sure you love this segment, Anthony. You sadistic bastard.
It wasn't. Couldn't be happier. Couldn't be happier.
We had Britt Baker taking on Julia Hart. Not a member of the Hart family, just happens to steal the name. But Britt Baker won, as she needed to, in pretty emphatic fashion, which was all good. We had a four-way...
Big words. Ooh.
Quiet you, Neanderthal. I don't know, is that a big word?
Sounds good.
It were reet good. I liked it. 2 women fought. Britt Baker won. Britt Baker, good. I like it. 4-way tag I'm not going to carry on. We had a 4-way tag team eliminator with the Varsity Blondes, friends of the show. Big fist bump to them. Taking on Jurassic Express, the Acclaimed, and SCU. And SCU picked up the win. Obviously, this has a lot of things on the line, if you will, which we'll potentially come on to in a little bit. But yeah, SCU picked up the win, leading to something down the line. Tony Schiavone interviews Kenny Omega with a big announcement. Ooh. And the main event of the evening, Blood and Guts, the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle, the match we've all been waiting for many weeks. And the Pinnacle picked up the win, and we know how the ending turned out of that. But the match itself, really good. So,
must admit, I started out quite cynical about Pinnacle.
You cynical Pinnacle. That's going to be some kind of shirt on it. Cynical about Pinnacle. So, the highlights. Blood and Guts. Let's just go straight in there with the main event. That was what the whole show was built around. It was fucking brilliant. Everybody involved put their fucking ass on the line. Cuts. Have you seen some of these pictures of people after this fucking match?
Like, yeah. They're
Jesus. Sammy, massive fucking props to him. He's got so many lacerations.
Can't give him
pretty
props.
sure
He's dangerous. He's unsafe.
Yeah, well, there is that. But still, so many lacerations, so many fucking, scrapes, bruises. I'm pretty sure he might even have a minor concussion, which we shouldn't be celebrating in the way we are. But the point is, they put themselves through fucking... Yeah, it didn't go that well last time, did it? But, yeah, they put themselves through an absolute fucking ringer, complete war zone. And you know what? Everybody stood out. And... what more can you ask for the amount of time they had? It was like 50 minutes or so of the whole, basically most of the card.
Your comment, everyone stood out. I think that is a really good one, because I think when you consider like this had to be sort of controlled and booked, I think they executed it in a way that allowed everyone to have their times to shine. And I think that typically with stuff like this, you tend to get people who fought. Like, I was really expecting Hager and Wardlow to fall into the background, for instance. And don't be wrong, there were times they did, but everyone got their moment, and I think that is a massively good point there.
I like as well. Obviously, we got to see all the the rivalries that were built up. So we got to see Guevara and Spears. We got to see.
Oh yeah, you were all over that, weren't you?
We got to see
parallels.
Well, exactly.
So many parallels.
Fuck you with the parallels. I like parallels, okay? Fuck you. But we got to see all the things that we expected to see. But just to spite you, you dick. We also got to see pairings that you normally you wouldn't see. Like, the guys who kicked off the match was fucking Dax Harwood and Sammy Guevara. I was like, when are you ever going to see them two really fight each other? And
it's a fair point. Yeah, you get to see something, and actually quite enjoyable. So you go, I wouldn't mind seeing them have a match now.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, I can't praise what they achieved in this match, highly enough. I thought it kept my attention for about 45 minutes of the 50 minutes. And unfortunately, I won't go into it at this point, but that's where it kind of ran out of steam a little bit. And obviously we had the ending, which I've spoken about previously, which we will get onto. But all in all, you cannot say that this match was terrible just because of the last 5 minutes. So,
like you say, I think that's a really good point. 45 of those 50 minutes were awesome.
Yeah, and
in the grand scheme, it's still awesome.
It did so much. They had so many spots. There was a couple of botches as well. Sammy really fucked something up, but that was moments after he really fucking did something unbelievably epic. So
yeah,
peaks and troughs. But all in all,
peaks and troughs.
Excellent match, I felt. Next one for me, Britt Baker. So this was an epic squash, and it was exactly what it needed to be. I've said before, a squash match is completely appropriate when it needs to be, and in this case, that did exactly what it needed to do. Britt Baker is the number 1 contender for Hikaru Shida for the title, and she came out, and obviously anyone who hasn't been following her on Dark and seeing her build up them wins to get to the number 1 contender spot, they got to see fucking hell, Britt Baker's just demolished this person. That's exactly what you need to do as she's going into a title match, and I thought it did everything it needed to. So, brilliant. Kenny Omega's interview, another highlight. I think he did such a fantastic job of selling, the opponents of either Pac or Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. And it's like, let's be honest, most people wouldn't have expected Cassidy to be sold really as a decent opponent, but like you say,
exactly,
it made you want it.
And I will hang my hat right now on it being Cassidy versus Omega at the pay-per-view. But yeah, I think obviously we know what a banger it was when it was Omega versus Pac, and we know how good it was. And he gave Pac so many props of saying, do you know what, this guy was my toughest test, and everything you could ever want to hear about.
Fair play to Pac. Do you remember Cassidy versus Pac as well?
Yeah, Pac is so underrated, but not in a way that he feels undervalued, if that makes sense. He is involved and stuff in AEW. Should he be in the main event scene? Probably, but sometimes it's good that they're not. Same with Miro. He got so much shit for going there and being, okay, you're not the world champion already, and you've gone to a lesser promotion or whatever. But he went there, did his thing, got himself, over in a different way, got himself introduced, and now he's taking that time. And so I still think Pac will get that.
Story to not that we'll go into stuff that's going to happen, but you'll see from social media, and now there's a story that they're building from the fact that he hasn't come in and done that. So they, in a way, they've executed Miro perfectly, because if he just come in and dominated, that's the same old story. Exactly. Whereas now you're building something from it. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I just think Omega does such a good job of saying, well, do you know what? If it's Pac, then fucking hell, he was my toughest opponent, so it's going to be hard work. If it's Orange Cassidy, kind of fucking Orange Cassidy, what a joke, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, he did such a good job of building both of them to the point where you were like, I'd be happy seeing either of these guys. And that's all you can want.
Have we had Omega Cassidy before?
I don't know, if I'm honest.
I don't recall it, which is a shame if we have, and it's not been memorable. But I really want to see it, because knowing the worker that Omega is, and knowing how interesting Cassidy's matches can be because of his style, I really want to see that match.
Yeah, it's funny because our Brad, who is coincidentally the host of our quiz segment 3 later on today, but he is very much. He's anti-Cassidy because he just can't get past the whole little leg kicks and so on and so forth. And I think that is still part of his repertoire, but I feel like he's evolved so much as a character over the last few months where, we've seen the kind of matches he can put on with the likes of Pac and so on and so forth. And yes, will he always continue to do these silly things, but it doesn't define him anymore. So I think Omega and Cassidy can put on an absolute banger.
I think not that it'll happen, and in a way I don't think it should, but it'd be so much fun poetry if he won the title. Just because there's early on in the days of AEW, there's a bit where he's just chilling on the floor, leaning on the barricades, and one of the fans goes to him, "Oh, Cassidy, you gonna be champ one day?" And he was like, "Probably." He just carries on chilling there, doesn't even get involved in the match. And I'm just I'd love to echo back to when he's got the belt, just echo back to that little clip. It just really tickles.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if he does become a future champ, and that is exactly what happens. I don't think it'll be against Omega right now.
No, I'd be disappointed in a way if it was, as much as I really want to see that match.
Yeah, I think it's built for me. The money match is Omega versus Page, and Page's crowning moment. I want to see that so fucking bad. I can't think of a time in any wrestling company where I've wanted to see something so bad. Maybe McIntyre winning at WrestleMania, but fanboy. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the story is so well written between Omega and Hangman over such a couple of years. I want to see that. But still, I thought great job from Omega, of someone who historically isn't the best promo and is very kind of hit or miss with what he does. He did such a good job of building up.
50-50, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. But this one was a good one. And I'm excited to see the match next week and see who he's going to face at Double or Nothing. So good promo from him. The next one, fuck me, man. Controversial this was. I don't know how you felt about it. Max Caster, right? So, The Acclaimed, you will all know if you are fans of the show. Initially, I was like, this is another Cena gimmick. I'm not a fan of it. Why are they rapping? Not a fan. Over time, I've then since gone, do you know what? I was wrong. I think it's good for them, etc., etc. This was the final thing for me that made me go, okay, this is fucking brilliant for them. Because Max Caster comes out, and obviously two of his opponents in the match are the Varsity Blondes, so Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr., and fuck me. So scathing. He basically does his little freestyle as he always does, and he effectively says that he's going to see Brian Pillman Jr. on Dark Side of the Ring, literally just after his dad's episode has aired, and yeah, that was unbelievably savage by any.
Providing like he okayed it, because it is a little disrespectful, like out of nowhere. Providing he okayed it as part of the promo, I'm totally cool with it. I think it was very effective.
Oh yeah, God, like I'm sure there's no like animosity there, but like for him to get that line in was like, oh wow, that was probably the best. He's been scathing before, but like this one was a whole different level. But if you take that into account, that means that Griff Garrison is going to be the Stone Cold in the scenario. So fully backing Griff to be the breakout star of the company, and propel them into immediate success. So that's fine.
Does he have to lose his hair for
that? Yeah, I mean, potentially, yeah, maybe. But yeah, so interesting promo.
We're thinking Griff 420.
I mean, is he averse to 420?
I don't know. I was just trying to think something that connected slightly to 316, and like that was the only the numbers I thought might be relevant.
Maybe. But yeah, knowing Griff, it'll be like his wedding date because he's just such a fucking softie and he's such a lovely kid.
Yeah, to be fair.
But yeah, so excellent little promo there from Max Caster. And the final highlight of the week. Interesting how you feel about this, considering you hate the guy. I'll say it every week because I know you hate the guy. But Darby Allin's concrete stair bump. Knowing what we know from the end of the show, this felt, pretty epic in comparison to landing on a crash mat. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Let's be honest, he's about as lazy as Cassidy is, and he can't even be bothered painting all of his fucking face. Useless.
You are terrible.
No, I'm joking, of course. I don't truly hate him. You just keep this as like a running thing.
You hate the guy. You hate the guy.
No, he's... I'll be honest, and this is more of a general thing than specifically about this particular bump, but the only thing I worry about with Darby is that I think he's probably a little bit too daring in some respects. People like to compare him to Jeff, but I worry that he's probably going to hurt himself at some point. I think he's too willing to do things. Do you know what I
mean? Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that or not. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying he's unsafe, but maybe. But is he just really convincing, and that's why I feel that way? I don't know. I don't know how to feel.
Just don't know how to feel about Darby Allin. Dun, dun. Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I thought, incredible bump that he took, and he didn't even need to take that bump because it was recorded, so they could have done stuff, but no, he threw himself downstairs, as you would expect from a psychopath like Darby. But yeah. Wonderful amount of highlights.
Wasn't even planned.
In terms of the Oshites, I wish I could, honestly, right, Cody, if you listen to the show, I really want to love you so bad, man. Like, literally, you are a fucking legend, but at the same time, you consistently disappoint me on a weekly basis.
Oh, now you're starting to sound like his brother.
Yeah. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, basically is what I'm saying. So, we had Cody and QT Marshall. The match was okay. I don't understand why Cody went over in this, because it's clearly not done. So at the end of the match, Anthony Ogogo comes out, punched him in the gut, as he has done with many people over the weeks. And it's like, well, why not give QT the win at this point? Because then you're building up the factory a little bit more. and you can have your revenge.
My only theory on that is maybe they're not building up the factory, they're building up a go-go.
Which
Which makes
fine.
the factory pointless, like why they put it together in the first place.
But at the same time, you've got the likes of Nick Comoroto, who's on there as well, who I also think has got some big potential. I know the focus has gone quite heavily on Ogogo, which makes sense because he is quite talented. But
I legit think that's what this has turned into, though. I think it's turned into a feud between Cody and Ogogo, and I think the rest are either going to become bit players or not involved at all. I'll be honest with you.
Do you know what? It's an excellent shout, to be fair. It's not something I've actually considered, but it does make a lot of sense. I think QT Marshall should not be the head of any stable anywhere ever, and it's not. I don't want to be so negative about QT the way that you are about Darby, Anthony. But I don't know. I can't accept him.
Let's be honest. Like, this is like a much weaker version of MJF and Cody.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
I was your best friend, and now I hate you for no reason. Like, this is the exact same thing, except MJF isn't there to fucking sell it.
Yeah, there's a lot less at stake. There's a lot less fucking betrayal, really. Even though he was his best friend for years, apparently. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're so right in that kind of comparison. It's probably the reason why no one cares. So yeah,
basically, like we're like 2 years in, and Cody's still just losing mates. That's all. That's the summation of his time in AEW so far.
Pretty much.
Like, fight with your brother, fight with your best mate, fight with your other best mate, get your wife pregnant. There you go. That's Cody's storyline. It's all summed up.
He's just pulled a Cody. So yeah, so that was my feelings on that. And lastly, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but obviously the finish to the Bobby. What? Oh no, Dynamite. My bad. So the finish to Blood and Guts. So as I said, the last 5 to 10 minutes were pretty much underwhelming, unfortunately. So we forgot about everyone else who was in the cage. The camera didn't even focus on them. It was solely about MJF and Jericho. And then we got to the top, and MJF is like, "I'm going to throw him off." And I just felt like Guevara gave up far too easily. Obviously it was about saving Jericho, etc., but it just felt a bit silly because by now, if anyone's not going to trust MJF, it's going to be Guevara. And for him to go, no, we submit. It's like, really?
I actually think if you were to flip and I know this isn't the parallel that you want, Carl, but if you were to flip the people around and Guevara took the bump and Jericho was the one who made the deal and was pleading with MJF, I think it would have worked better. And it actually would have worked better going forward because Jericho would have been like, because he's now a face apparently, he would have been kicking himself over letting that happen to Guevara. But he did it this way, so whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
as it happens though, like that end shot of MJF like just totally fucking loving himself. That sounds weird. Loving himself on top of the cage. Maybe I shouldn't have phrased it that way.
That would have been a whole different shot. Literally the money shot.
Just that smug MJF stood on top of the cage, proud of what he's done, was an awesome shot. But obviously that's not what we all remember. So that's a shame.
Exactly.
It's a real shame.
The whole production side of things needs improvement. It wasn't the best end for that reason alone, really. That it was so obvious that it was cardboard and crash mat and so on and so forth. It kind of took away from everything the guys have put themselves through the whole fucking 50 minutes before that, which is a shame. Anyone who's shitting on the whole match as a result, completely disagree with. Obviously, you need to just accept the fact that there was some production issues at the end, as was the same with the whole barbed wire thing. Shit happens, but the match itself I thought was fantastic, and it is a shame about obviously the final scenes we saw. But all in all, amazing shift put in by everybody. But yeah, the last 10 minutes too much focused on Jericho and MJF, and the finish was just a little bit too amateur hour, unfortunately.
Agreed.
That being said, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. So
you know what? Me too.
Fucking hell! Look at this guy. Who is he? Who the fuck is that guy?
All right. Shall we quickly blast through SmackDown?
Let's blast through it. blast through it because we've got another segment to do, and so we need to blast through.
Okay, so this week's SmackDown was a throwback special, Carl, which we'll talk about that when we get to the shites. No spoilers. As far as the card goes, we had. Did I give my rating for? Did I give my rating for Dynamite?
Yeah, you agreed.
Okay.
I agree with everything I said.
Totally
All
agreed with
the
everything you
things.
said. 3.5. Cool. Right. So we Roman Reigns opened the show as he likes to do. So we had a nice little Roman promo there. We then had Seth Rollins going up against Cesaro, which came as a result of said promo, and we saw Cesaro taking the win. We then had Ruby Riott going up against Carmella in a random women's match, with Carmella taking the win. We then saw a promo from Bayley, obviously with their pending match against Bianca Belair. We then saw Dominic go up against Dolph Ziggler, with Dominic taking the win. We then saw Tamina go up against Reginald. Okay, with Tamina, I guess, taking the win. It was DQ'd, so whatever. And then we had, I guess, the main event of the night with a 10-man tag match, Carl, which involved Apollo Crews, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, and Otis going up against Big E, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke Nakamura, and the Street Profits, with Apollo Crews, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Chad Gable, and Otis taking the win. What a clusterfuck that was. And then
main event, really? The main event of the show?
Sort of, because we closed the night out with Cesaro and Reigns. It's not a match, but we closed the night out with Cesaro and Reigns. So, kind of the main... That was like the main event match, I guess, yeah. So, as far as highlights go, Carl, I'm going to give credit to the opening promo. I love the actual, the paying... snarkily paying tribute to Daniel Bryan. I thought was really quite good. As much as people have made fun of them all bowing their heads because it looked like it was going to go into the Two Cools music, which is really fucking funny. Not so much the joke, but the actual thought of Paul Heyman doing that dance is really fucking funny. But yeah, the opening promo was decent. I don't know how you feel about the inclusion of Jimmy and his return, but you know what? Fuck it, why not? Seth Rollins is my other highlight, and everything Seth Rollins did on this night, because let's face it, he was a great addition to what's going on. He was a great opponent for Cesaro. They never put on a bad match together. The suggestion and the hints towards a feud between him and Roman Reigns, which, just to clarify for those who are relying solely on me for your information here, there was almost like this hint towards Seth almost looking down on Roman for relying on his family, to the point that in his match with Cesaro, he refused help from the Usos, and basically said to Rollins to get basically said to Reigns to get his family in order, and he doesn't need them to win, and this sort of thing, almost suggesting like that's gonna get to Roman and we're gonna lead to that feud. And you know what, story wise, I think that's actually going to be really good, and I'd love to see them have a decent feud now. I know they've fought before, but I think the story and the build of this would be much better executed now, so I'd be all for that. I don't know how you feel, Carl.
Yeah, agreed, 100%.
Sad. This one might be a little polarizing. Bayley's promo. Now, a lot of people don't like this because they're like this typical, arrogant Bayley underestimating Belair, blah blah blah. And I get that, but I'm giving credit to Bayley's promo. Like, I know where this is probably going to go, and I'm not happy with it. Like, that they're going to book it to like, oh, she underestimates Belair, and Belair ultimately wins, and it's a bit paint by numbers in that sense. And it's not like I want Belair to lose. I'm just like, it's all too predictable, I suppose. But the actual promo, I'm like, I just want to give credit to Bayley because I really did not buy her as a heel when she first started the heel run, and I do think she's really got comfortable in this role, and I think she sold it well. And whether you agree with the underestimating Belair thing or not, I think it was effective for where they're going with their feud, even if you can predict it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Bayley is an interesting one. I think she did some really good things a while ago, and then it kind of felt a bit samey, and then obviously it culminated with her being pretty much left off the WrestleMania card, and now they brought her back, and it is still good stuff, but at the same time, it reminds you that it can go into too familiar territory, potentially, where it's the same shtick. But I don't know. I think
it feels a bit samey anyway. No offense to Bianca Belair, but it feels a bit samey with Bianca anyway. Because I'm now going to be the long-est women's champion. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like, I think the S thing makes everything feel samey. You just I
don't know what episode or what segment it was that I said that, but I firmly agree.
I think you mentioned it last week, and it bugs me now. So
it's not. It just doesn't have any longevity. There's only so many ests you can have, and it's like, you're gonna repeat yourself. You're either the best, the greatest, the
Badass.
fucking baddest, the I don't know what's next. The longest, the fucking shortest. The what are you gonna do? Like, there's only so many words that end with EST, so it's like eventually you are gonna be fucked. So yeah, it's already starting to seem a bit
she's still working her way through.
Yeah.
But well, yeah. Overall, I think that the promo itself is like, I was going to say it's an up. I shouldn't really infringe on what culture. Yeah,
Who culture?
But, those guys. Who culture is actually a channel.
Oh, fuck's sake!
They talk about Doctor Who.
Fuck's sake.
I shit you not. Yeah. So yeah, that's my last highlight, Carl. In terms of the O'Shites, there's one that we're probably going to talk about. So I'm going to try and be quick with the rest. So the first one was just this whole mixed bag of a match at the end. And I'm not against like big multi-man tag matches, but this felt like we haven't really got the time to give everyone their own sort of bits, and these people are fighting with these people. So let's just throw them on a fucking random teamed up big old match. And it just felt a little bit messy for me and a little bit lazy as well. It's like, we'll put them all in a match because they've all kind of been fighting with each other. So yeah, I wasn't overly sold on that, especially being like the last match of the night as well. Bit weird.
Yeah.
Cool. Next one, and again, I feel like you're probably going to agree with me on this because I saw your expression when I first mentioned it. I'm not overly sold on Jimmy. Jimmy seems to have come back and he's doing the exact same thing that Jay did. So we're just doing the Jay thing again. I actually sincerely hope that the potentially leaning towards Jay turning on Jimmy and it goes into some sort of feud between those two that's separate from Roman, because right now it just feels like Jimmy's going to come back, he's going to try and defy Roman's going to beat him into submission, and he's going to join the family. I feel like it's going to be exactly like that.
Yeah, I mean, depending on what you kind of read into, I think obviously Jimmy came back wearing Uso merch, and obviously Jay was wearing, I'm Roman's bitch merch, basically. So it was kind of like, well, is that already the writing on the wall that he's back, but he's not fully, bowing to the head of the table, so therefore you need to...
I think it just bugs me because, like, not only do they look exactly alike, they've come back with the exact same storyline. Because are we forgetting that Jay did this exact same thing, where he's like, I'm not going to bow to him, and then, I am, actually.
Yeah.
Because he beat me up, so I'm definitely going to. So I just hope they go somewhere different with it, but right now I'm just not overly keen. Like,
can't see it.
I would have preferred, honestly, would have been happier if he'd just come back and been part of the fold. Mm-hmm. Without any big fanfare, without any resistance, he's just come back to the family because Jay's already there, and it's just what it is.
It also felt really weird to me that like him coming back was just a random episode of SmackDown, just no reason.
Hey everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. I think they should have just been swapping him and Jay out week by week to wait to see if people noticed.
That's true.
And my next one, Carl, is, and this, I don't know, this might be me being petty, but I'm not. I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful, almost insulting that Dolph Ziggler had to take the loss to Dominic. And I only say that because still Dominic has not really put any time in. He's not really been at the NXT level. He's not really wrestled any other amateurs, and he's straight away dealing with one of the people who's the best at selling shit. So I get why he's ended up in this match. But Dominic beating Dolph Ziggler, it's like, the fuck is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me because he's been around for a few weeks. He's barely had any matches. He's been around for a while now, but he's not really had many matches at all. So I don't know. I'm not overly keen on it.
It's so weird with him.
Stuff, but...
Yeah, it is a weird one because I think obviously they've got the stuff going on with him and Ray, but at the same time he has come in with no experience and he holds some pretty heavy wins over some pretty decent guys already. And I don't know whether this is right for him at this stage, but that's the way they're going. So,
but this is the annoying thing as well is Dolph is doing the exact same thing, right? This match came about because they were saying you're not going to be you're not at the level of your dad, and you're not going to be at the level of your dad, etc. So this is essentially the Bayley and Bianca Belair storyline, except Bianca Belair has actually served a lot more time in the ring because this is the heel underestimating the good guy and his ability. I was like, yeah, but we are underestimating your ability, Dominic, because we've not fucking seen much of it. I'm not being disrespectful to him. Like, what I have seen, he's been pretty good, but he's still new to the game, and it just doesn't feel right that he's taking a win over Dolph like that.
Yeah. No, agreed.
Sound. Okay, my last one, Carl, and this is the talky one. This is the talky point. WWE's SmackDown throwback, right? They fucking fisted everyone here, right? So everyone wanted some effort put in, and did we get the effort put in? Now people are getting a bit, like, some people are getting kind of defensive over this. I've seen this, like, people moan like, "Oh, you really thought they were going to build the old sets, blah blah blah." Like, the logistics of it is unrealistic. You're expecting too much. But at the end of the day, right? Let's remember when Raw did their throwback. I want to say it was about 2014 when they did the retro Raw. They done the old logos, the old set. They put loads of effort in. They actually had some legends on there and some elements in there that were retro. And there was some efforts there that I thought were really nice in SmackDown, like Michael Cole wearing his old denim gear and stuff like that. They were nice little touches. I think Kayla Braxton dressed like a backstage interviewer from back in the day as well. But certain elements were just so fucking lazy that it actually insulted. Like, let's use the retro gold WWE logo that was never used on SmackDown ever.
It was such a fucking mismatch of shit.
How easy would it have been to use the scratch logo?
Yeah,
that was the one that you remember.
Literally, just use fucking, like, if you were going to go back to SmackDown of old, like, you pick a fucking, you know, the whole "wake a bomb on a man," that whole fucking that is the one. That is original WWE, but that wasn't in the old school era. So you just don't go with the old school fucking theme. You don't get people in there with, like, like Pat McAfee was fucking Vince McMahon and it's like, Vince never hosted an episode of SmackDown. SmackDown came about when Vince was already known as the fucking owner of the company. Yeah, it was just stupid. It was fucking stupid.
McAfee would have made more sense to be dressed like JR or the King.
Yeah. Like,
and I think they were more synonymous with Raw, but I'm trying to remember, other than Michael Cole, who worked with Michael Cole and Taz SmackDown most of it.
Yeah, Taz and then JBL and stuff eventually, but still, I don't know. I just think it made no sense. It didn't make me.
The actual fist and the scratch logo would have made it a lot better for me. I think they were two lazy elements. Where it's like, let's use the old retro WWE logo because people like it. It's like, people like the scratch logo as well.
Yeah.
As long as it's not your current logo, as long as you used that one, people would have got that same nostalgic pop and wouldn't have been insulted by the fact that, like, you never saw that old logo on SmackDown.
This was a massive fail for me. They tried to use CGI so much to the point it was actually detrimental to the show, and it just felt so flat. It wasn't like, if you look at, like, a throwback Raw, I can cast myself back to the initial Raw, which is cool. This was not the initial SmackDown.
No.
SmackDown never took place in the fucking early 90s. So why are we doing this? It makes no sense.
And this is the thing, and the CGI fist was just fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, they've gone, CGI is easier, we'll do a CGI fist, people will love that. And, some people, like, didn't mind it, but they had that slight nostalgia, but I'm like, well, no, because I could play, if I wanted to see the set in that kind of quality, I could play, like, Here Comes the Pain on PS2 and have a similar quality fucking SmackDown set than what you put on the TV last week. So no, not keen. But the throwback didn't land for me. There were some elements that I say they
didn't
put a little bit of thought in, but the whole thing, like, it's just the laziest throwback I've seen. And apparently the only reason they did a throwback was to tie into all the other throwbacks that were happening in the sporting world.
Which is fucking bullshit in its own right. Let's be honest. So that was
all in all, Carl, all in all, I'm going to give it a 2.
A 2?
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, can't do that. 1.5 for me.
I don't know, because the Cesaro and Rollins stuff was really good, and the promo building around it was really good. There was some good element. I mean, let's be honest, every other match was shit. But I never even moaned about Tamina and Reginald, and I should have. But we'll save that for another day. I'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
But okay, I got a point, but I'm sticking with the 2.
Okay, I will take it.
Cool.
And that was This Week in Wrestling, guys.
Yeah, bitch.
We will be back with A2theK, a wrestling theme song. Name the next line. Spectacle. That's what we're calling it.
Spectacles.
Yeah. spectacles, and we'll be back after this.
You're watching or listening
to A to the K.
The A to the K.
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 These guys are awesome. Check it out.
Check it out. Change your life. You'll be thanking me later.